So Rex, tell us a little bit about, rexsikes.com/the book. Your book is called Life on
Your
Our
turn.
Terms, on Your Terms. Wow. Tell us about your book.
Well, I'm very proud of the book. I think everybody should get it. It is really about how you get from where you are to where you want to go by renewing yourself through by transforming yourself through the renewing of your mind. And it's done in such a way that it's about having fun and delighting and finding the simple ways that get you the most bang for your efforts. Because a lot of people, say you got to work really hard, you got to sacrifice, you got to give up, you got to do all these things, and you can do that. I mean, it certainly is an option. But as children, we learn more through play and through curiosity and fascination and adventure than we do at any other time in our life, because we're open, we're available, and we're willing to just go for it, and until we get trained or conditioned out of it. And so it's really a way to go back and kind of recapture your childhood and begin to embody those things that we do naturally. I mean, in other words, you want to learn naturally, you don't need to learn artificially. Well, I like to speak my mind, and I like to speak direct, and my background is in neuroscience and the placebo and attitude and mindset and what we can do physically, as well as meditation and a bunch of different stuff. But I think it's really important for people to understand that there are some popular concepts that we have used in historically that are not really good concepts. I mean, the notion of self-sabotage, for example, there's no such thing as self-sabotage. If you understand how the brain works, the brain only moves essentially in one direction, although it can go all over the place. It moves to serve you, to help you to thrive, and to help you to keep alive. And in doing that, it looks for dangers and it looks for things that could harm you or hurt you, but it's not out to sabotage you. It's out to get you to stay consistent. And it does it through a couple of principles: the law of least effort, so that once you learn something, you don't have to keep learning it. And the law of conservation of energy, so that you're not expending all of your energy trying to survive, but so that you are actually thriving. And what happens is that we with psychology and religion and philosophy and sociology, we come up with answers as to why things might be going on, that they give an explanation, but they may not be the best explanation or serve us the very best. So instead of saying I sabotage myself, that's like saying, I just keep punching myself in the face. Most people, are really trying to get ahead, and they can't figure out why. Well, why they can't get ahead is because the brain, in its desire, it's not a desire like the way you and I desire stuff, but in it is really just processes. It's neurochemical electrical processes. So what it does is it's the wiring of the brain, and it keeps us consistent. So it keeps us doing what we've always done, regardless of what else we might want to do. So if you learn to bite your nails, if you learn to smoke, that's a learning that you had. Now you decide that you want to stop it. You go, I want to do this more. Well, you have this whole history of smoking or biting your nails, of habits that you do. And now you go with your little conscious mind and say, I want to change this. And the subconscious mind runs the show. And that's the beauty of it. I mean, while we don't like biting the nails or smoking, it's so powerful that when it's pointed at what you do want, the good things that you want to be able to do and accomplish, and who you want to be and what you want to do and what you want to have, that's what carries that out. That very same mechanism that you're sitting there going, well, it's sabotaging me, is the very one that serves you. So what you want to do is learn how to program it, learn how to condition it, learn how to change those habits so that they're no longer doing the ones that you used to do. So, for example, if you've ever moved or you've ever changed locations, like you move from one house to another, or one apartment to another, or one office place to another, sometimes, and for a while, you may find yourself driving the old route back to the old house or the apartment or the office or whatever it was. You don't forget where it is. The brain doesn't eliminate it, doesn't destroy it. What it does is it overwrites it by going to the new address over and over and over again consistently. So you can always remember how to get to the old address. You just suddenly begin to find yourself going to the new address more and more often. And so it is when learning anything. It's like learning to juggle. If you understand that dropping the balls is part of juggling, you don't go, I'm trying to juggle, but the balls are sabotaging me, or the gravity is sabotaging me. You just like, I can't juggle, But the point is that the more you juggle, the more you have fun juggling, the more that you love juggling, the easier it becomes. And the easier it becomes, the better you get at it. And the better you get at it, the easier it becomes. And so it has this kind of cybernetic loop happening. The more you do, the more you can do it. Excuse me. And the more you can do, the quicker and faster it all begins to get together. And guess what? Master jugglers who've juggled all their lives still drop balls, but it doesn't bother them. They aren't saying gravity is screwing me up, and they're just going, okay, I dropped a ball, because they know, after having done it consistently, that they are jugglers and that they're good jugglers. So you can do the very same thing with any change that you want to make, whether it's stopping smoking or stopping biting your nails or having more confidence or making more money. You need to learn how to condition yourself for that success. This is why Hill says money consciousness or love consciousness or peace confidence. And you have to develop, and I loved it because I think Louis said it. I'm not a fan of the word faith, although I use it and it's in Thinking Rich, but I love the word certainty, because when you become certain you can accomplish something, and you know that you will, and you're passionate about it, and you don't let anything prevent you, then you will. And so it's really an attitude. And what we discovered back many, many years ago is that attitude is the number one predictor for success in all areas of your life. All areas of your life. So, for example, motivation. People wait to be motivated. They think there are motivational speakers. Well, there are inspiring speakers, but motivation is an inside job. You don't get motivated from the outside, although in theory, someone can say, if you don't do that, I'm going to beat you up. But they're not motivating you. You inside go, geez, I don't want to get beat up, so I better do this. So you're motivating yourself. So when it comes to doing the things that you want to be able to do, you want to find ways so that you can win all along the way and motivate yourself. Muhammad Ali said, and we're fortunate to have, his widow here. And that is, he said, I hate training. I don't want to train, but I wanted so much to be, the world's greatest. He even said he was the greatest before he became the greatest, that he was willing to train because his desire to be the greatest boxer ever was more important than sitting on the couch and eating donuts. So, it's an important thing to understand these concepts. There's myths about motivation, that it comes from the outside. There's myths about procrastination. There's myths about self-sabotage. And all of them are just concepts. They're labels. And what you say you have, if you say you have it, that's what you will have. So what you say, I'm getting lots of text here. So the point is that if you believe that you can, and you act as if you can, and by then I mean you start actually doing something in your own behalf, then you can learn to do almost anything. So, for example, what happens with a lot of people is they say, I'm going to clean my whole house this weekend. And of course, that's an overwhelming task. But if you say, you know what, I'm going to clean this closet, or I'm going to clean the top shelf of the closet, or I'm going to straighten out these clothes on this rack, then you're able to do a little bit. And in doing that little bit, and you get that done, you feel more like doing a little bit more because you win. And here's the important concept. Winners win and losers lose.
Losers make excuses.
Indeed.
Winners win, losers lose. Losers make excuses.
I'm glad you're back.
So thank you, Rex. You're a profound wealth of wisdom as well, brother. So what's something that in the meantime we can get into in Think and Grow Rich?
Well, so, I wanted to say something this morning about to Satish, and you've studied programming, correct?
Yeah. Okay. So I'm an NLP trainer, neuroscience trainer, timeline therapy trainer, hypnosis trainer, behavioral analyst, and if that wasn't enough, I'm also a miracle-minded coach,
Cool.
personally trained and certified by Marianne Williamson, New York Times
Oh,
bestselling
what
author.
wonderful. Oh,
And I
wonderful.
love my Course in Miracles. Yes, I've got all those tools that, yes.
So that is fantastic, and I love it. And I've been involved with NLP almost from the very beginning, and have contributed. And I didn't want to write a lot of books or anything because I was too busy training and doing seminars. But I wanted
There
to
you
point something
go.
out. And NLP is wonderful, and there's some myths in that too. They
Yes.
would come along and say, well, we don't want to know why. We want to build models. We are the original modelers and everything else. But the real original modeler
Mhm.
was Napoleon Hill. He'd
Yeah,
had 520 people that he studied because Carnegie said, and he
correct.
came and he put it together over a period of 20 years and built this model for all of us to do. Now, NLP is wonderful. I mean, don't get me wrong, but
And can we share, just because there might be some people on here, because they're familiar with Think and Grow Rich, of course, and they're familiar with Napoleon Hill and the movement, and everything you just shared. They might not know what neuro-linguistic programming is. So can we
it's
just
such a
share
mouthful. It's such
yeah,
a
it's
mouthful.
powerful stuff. So neuro-linguistic programming, neuro mindset. I always ask people, how important is mindset? Most people say mindset's everything. You're right. It's everything. If you have the right mindset, you could have zero skill set. You're going to have the right mindset to learn the skill set and you'll be successful. Part number 2. So neuro mindset. Number 2 is linguistic language. How important is effective communication in our business and in our life? I adore one of our clients who wasn't able to make it today. And maybe she might end up being here tomorrow. If there is a tomorrow, don't know. Her name is Marty Rodriguez. She is the #1 agent in the history of the Century 21 system. In all years, even in the what do they call that, recession, she's making $2.5 million a year, regardless of what's happening. And I asked her, what's this key to your success? And other than she calls herself like a racehorse with blinders on. So she sees herself like a racehorse with blinders on. So she's sprinting and she's not distracted by anything on either side. Type in the comments if you're learning something from this Marty Rodriguez, and if you would like us to bring her. She had a funeral to attend and 2 huge listing appointments today. And that's the reason why she hasn't been here yet. But I'm wanting to introduce her to the Los Angeles Tribune newspaper. I'm wanting to introduce her to Think and Grow Rich Institute. Shout out again to Satish Verma. So there's not a day that Tony Robbins is on stage and he's talking to people in real estate and he doesn't call her name out in front of the room.
Right.
That's how famous she is. And she says the thing that's missing is effective communication. And so linguistic language. And we know who's the most important person we speak to.
Well, it's us, and
It's us.
that is what so many people miss. They think communication, because they speak, they communicate, which is wrong to begin with, the wrong premise. But 2, they always think it's this interpersonal communication, which is important, and it truly is. To be able to communicate, for us to be able to communicate, is truly important. But the other side of it is that self-communication.
Self-communication, yes.
How you talk to yourself, what you think about yourself, and how yourself talks or communicates to you.
Exactly. Self-communication. And then communicating with others. How do you speak into others listening? How do you, there's people that are more, we all have different modalities. People that are more visual. They like to buy the nice, pretty things, and they like colors, and they're very visual. And there's people that are not as visual. There's people that are super into, I've got to get a feel for this. How do I grasp this? They're more into the kinesthetic, which is the feeling. And there are people that are super into auditory. They're really good listeners and how they learn, like this podcast. And there are people that are more auditory digital, which we call analytical. So in speaking into the listening, we all have a preferred style of communication. And when we learn what a person's preferred style of communication, how they want to receive information, and we're able to speak into their listening. I'll give you a tool today. When you know someone is visual, or when you hear when they're speaking to you, and you hear that they are speaking in terms of they speak in pictures. They're talking about, I was on the beach and then I saw this, and then I woke up and I looked out, I see, I vision. These are people that are visual. Start using visual words because you'll speak into the listening. When you hear people talk about, you know, how it sounds and am I resonating with it, and I'm tuning in to what you're hearing, I'm listening. When you hear people use those words, then you can use the power of your voice and your tonality to create even more inspiration in them. And when you hear people that are kinesthetic, how they feel, they usually breathe lower in the stomach. And I'm getting a text. So actually, I think the file is a little bit big. So I am going to recommend that we finish with what we're talking about, Rex, right now. I don't think, unfortunately, right now, I don't think it's going to be possible for us to tee up Dr. Kalila. But I'm going to wait for the executive decision because I don't make the decisions. We got CEO of the LA Tribune, Mo Rock, we've already broken all the freaking records. We're like overachieving, and Ava, his incredible leader. So I think the file is too big. So we are going to perhaps create a less condensed file so that we can share that amazing interview with you. So,
and in the meantime, are we continuing our discussion, or?
Yes, I would continue our discussion, and let's just pay attention to also what we executive decision from here. So let's just finish this one first, and we'll let our team know that it's just my
when we're ready to segue into them.
Yes. Okay, so let's just finish this. So if you got a person that's analytical, how do you know? You know, how do you know the person is analytical? Is what we call auditory digital. It means they're not talking about what it looks like or how it sounds or how it feels. They're more about steps. 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. Do you know people that speak like that? When you talk about their day, they always go, well, first thing I woke up, then I looked at my Rolodex, and then I looked at my calendar, and then first I did this, and then step 2, I got up and I did that. Everything is systematic and process oriented. So when you meet people like that, you want to speak in terms of, does that make sense? Is this logical? You want to speak in steps and procedures because you're speaking into their listening.
Absolutely.
So that's the second thing. So the first thing is mindset. How important is that? We know. Number 2, how important is language and effective communication? And then third one is behavior. Programming is your patterns of emotions and your behaviors. And what we've discovered, and why Think and Grow Rich is so big and ties into this so perfectly, is what we've discovered is most people know what they need to do. Most people know. You need to wake up early in the morning, get to the gym. You know you need to eat the right foods. You know that if you have a business and you want to have a product or service, you want to get out there to more people. You know that you need to make the phone calls. You know that you need to knock on the doors, whatever that is. Certainly you get to have systems and automation to make your life easier, but you know that you got to take action. So why is it that most people struggle? They know what they need to do, but they don't do it.
Hence my book.
Yes, they don't do it.
Live life on your terms. You know,
action is like a concept, right? It's a concept in their head. And some people, I know this is strange, some people can actually teach a seminar on action. They can get up and tell you, well, action's this, but action is not a concept. Action is I know this is so silly, so obvious, but for some people, they see it as a concept. It's a behavior. Action is a behavior. We need to get out of our heads. That's why I love this. Please type in the comments if you're a fan of Mel Robbins. Mel Robbins, the 5-second rule. Wow. That one was good. The 5-second rule. She shares in the 5-second rule that if within 5 seconds, if you have an inspiration to take action and go do something, if within 5 seconds you don't do it, she says your brain will talk you out of it. Your brain will give you all, why do I want to go out there? It's raining.
And you know,
why do I want to go? I have to walk far to my car. I have to do this. Your brain's going to talk you out of it.
And you know where that comes from, Kayla? I mean,
yes,
it actually comes off of the half-second rule.
The half-second rule. Yeah.
Which we teach in neurolinguistic programming is you say something to a person within a half a second, they've responded. And if you're not paying attention, you miss it. So one of the things that I'd like to point out about what
Yes.
you're doing and saying that's so valuable is that whether it's visual, auditory, kinesthetic, or analytical, or auditory, digital, or whatever, is we're pattern detectors. We are people who are looking at patterns of people. And why do we look at patterns? Because it's predictable. If you know what someone has done, you know what they're likely to do. And if you can tell whether they're visual, auditory, or kinesthetic, you can communicate with them in a much more efficient, effective, meaningful way. But primarily, if I tell you that somebody's visual and you go to see it, we're drawing our attention to the other person, which is what so few people actually do. They're looking, but they're thinking inside their head. They're looking or listening, but they're waiting to talk. And what we hope that people will do is to listen, to learn, and to view, to observe, so that you can notice what the patterns are, so that if you're benevolent and kind, you can assist them in changing patterns from those that don't serve them to those that do. Beautiful. So you're pointing out some really beautiful things, but it's really all about learning and learning how to do the things to be successful. And that half-second rule, the 5-second rule, is absolutely crucial. Huge. If you don't take action right away with the idea or the concept, you either talk yourself out of it, or you lose it becomes a lackluster, or you drive along and you go, what was that I was going to do? It's because you've moved on. So grab those moments, and very importantly, is
that's huge.
Learn how to pay attention to people, because the wealth of the information that you want is not in you; it's in the other person.